Well, hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're going fishing. Well, here on Alternative Tuesdays, it's all about versatility and doing something outside of the box. And today is no different, as we're going to do another ABS project. Now, it's been a while since I've done one, and I'm looking forward to this one because what we're going to try to do is make ourselves a fishing lure. So the first thing we need to do is choose our ABS stock. Well, I'd like to start off by saying that this entire thing is an experiment. I don't even know if this is going to work, but I thought it would be fun, so why not? So what I'm starting off with is some 3/4 inch thick ABS. It's roughly 1.5 inches wide and 4.5 inches long. I've got a piece of red and a piece of blue, and these are just scraps I had in the shop. I've also got a scrap piece of yellow, which is the same dimensions, 1.5 inches by 4.5, but it's only 1/8 of an inch thick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some CA glue, and I'm going to laminate these together in this kind of a configuration with the yellow sandwiched in between the other layers. Now, I don't want to get any of the CA onto my bench, so I've put some freezer paper down. And freezer paper is a great thing to prevent glue from sticking to your bench or what have you. So we're going to apply a generous amount of CA here, and we're just going to smear that around to get some coverage, being careful not to get any on our fingers. And then we're going to spread it on this piece. And then we're going to clamp this up and let it dry. Well, truth be told, it's been quite a few hours since I clamped this up because you want to give the CA glue plenty of time to set. Now what we need to do is take this to the table saw, and we're going to square off our ends because we want to mount this between centers on the lathe. Now, before you carry on to the lathe, you need to pick which side of your lamination here is going to be the bottom of your fishing lure. And for me, I would like this red to be on the bottom. You know, make it more attractive as you're looking up. If you were a fish, I mean, you'd rather see red than blue, wouldn't you? I don't know. I'm not a fish. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tilt my blade at 45 degrees, and I'm gonna place a cut, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches in on this block, and it's gonna come just up to our center mark here where our yellow stripe is. Now, if you've been following along, you should have something that looks like this. And I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it will in just a bit. But what we're going to do to continue this is I want to take it over now. We're going to mark our center on each end, and I'm going to mount this between centers on the lathe. Well, we have this mounted up, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to turn it round. Now, you're pretty much unlimited to what you want to do here as far as being creative, but one thing I will point out, if you're following along with my particular design, this here, where this points, this is the nose, or this is the leading edge of your lure. So that angle kind of points towards the front. I don't know, use your imagination. Either way, we're going to get this turned around. Well, I've changed sides here of the tripod because honestly it was getting in my way. But you can see that we've got this turned down. Just look how cool that looks with the blue on the top and that yellow bright stripe in the middle and then the red on the bottom. So now we need to turn our actual lure, and what I'm going to be doing is basically I'm going to have kind of a fat rounded nose and then it's going to taper down to the tail down here. This doesn't need to be any kind of fantastic feat of engineering. It just has to be a fun little torpedo shape, and that's basically what I'm going to turn. So you're going to want to do the exact same thing with yours. Turn yourself kind of a torpedo shape, tapered down to the tail and kind of rounded at the nose. And after we get that done, then we can separate it from the lathe. Now, a couple things about turning ABS is every once in a while you want to stop your lathe and clear some of these long plastic chips away from the moving parts of your lathe. As well, you want to be careful for catches. This stuff, like wood, will catch as you're turning it, but this stuff really likes to grab and pull you in. So get a good grip on that chisel and you control the turning. Don't let the turning control you. And that is about the shape that I'm looking for. You can see where I've tapered it right down almost to nothing here at the tail, and the head is kind of like a torpedo shape. Now I'm just going to clean this up to get rid of some of these ridges. I don't want to turn any more down here as this is getting fragile, and in fact we're going to actually use the scroll saw to cut this off. So I'm just going to clean this up, cut these ends off at the scroll saw, and then I'll see you over at the bench. Well, we now have some 7/64 inch thick plexiglass, and basically that's what that slot is for. It is going to house this piece of plexiglass. Now, not the whole piece, you silly bunch of people. We're going to measure from outside edge to outside edge. We're going to bring it down probably about 1/2 inch further beyond our lure. And then once we get those marks squared off, we're going to round the edge and then we're going to cut it on the scroll saw. I'm just going to use a circle template to round this off. I have a number 2 reverse tooth blade installed in the saw, and with plexi, you'll want to cut slow. So just take your time and cut out your pattern. And now we're going to want to take a little bit of wet, dry sandpaper and just give this a little bit of a sanding. It's a pretty smooth edge as it is, so it shouldn't take much. And once you're happy with the edge that you've got on here and how smooth this is, we're going to do a test fit in our lure. And there we go. We can see our little tongue there kind of thing. And what the purpose of this is that as you pull it through the water, this little fin is going to drive it deeper down. So you can play around with the angles on it if you like and see how they work. And once you get this the way that you like it, peel off that protective backing that's on there and put some CA glue in your kerf and just glue it right into place. There is our fin glued in. Looking real sexy, look at that. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to get our little jeweler's drill. Put a new tongue in my mouth. Get a jeweler's drill, and we're going to drill a hole right here and right here at the tail, and another one right dead center here in the belly. And that will accept these tiny little eye bolts. Now you might not even be able to see them, they're so tiny. But let's get that drill and get those installed. Now the good thing is that because we're using this little jeweler's drill, we don't have any issues as far as heating it up to getting it and melting it, as sometimes happens with the normal drill press. So there's just not enough friction built up in order to do that. So carefully drill these holes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to screw these eye bolts in, but we're going to put a drop of CA glue on them first, and that's going to help them stay in place. Now some of you may be wondering why I didn't give you a drill bit size with the jeweler's drill. Well, honestly, I don't know what size eye bolts you're going to use for your project. So it's very difficult for me to give you a drill size when I don't know what you're using. But what I would strongly recommend is that after you drill them, that you do a dry test fit to make sure that everything fits properly. You'd hate to get the CA glue onto your eye bolt only to find out that it doesn't screw into the hole. You have to work fast though, otherwise that CA glue is going to set up on you and you're not going to have the opportunity to screw it into place. All right, and there's our bottom one done. Pretty happy with that. And we'll just continue that process for the tail and the nose. Well, if you've been following along, you should have something that is pretty similar to this. Now, you can change your design. You can see I put little lines in there. I turn them into the back end by the tail. You can do whatever you want. The actual design is up to yourself. But now it's time to add the hooks. And for that, I've just gone to my local tackle store or fishing store, or whatever you want to call it, and I've purchased some split rings and some treble hooks. Truth be told, I didn't actually go to the store for this project. I just went into my tackle box and pulled them out. If you're a fisherman, you've got them in your tackle box anyway, but if you're not and you're making this for a gift, they're available at your local tackle shop, and there's a lot of them around. So now it's time to use the split rings to attach the treble hooks, and you want to attach them on the bottom eye hook and the tail eye hook. You do not put one on the nose, because that, of course, is where your line gets attached. So let's head over to the bench and get those treble hooks attached. But be careful, guys, because they're sharp. And there you have it, an ABS fishing lure. Guys, this project is a ton of fun, and honestly, it's a great way to use up scrap material. Whether it be ABS or wood, it doesn't really matter. You could make it out of either or. Just remember, if you're going to use it, wood, you really need to seal that well so that the water doesn't destroy it. It's one of the things I like about the ABS is I can get multiple colors, as you can see here in the one that I've made, and it's waterproof. Win-win. Guys, give it a try. Put this on your list of things to make for the fishermen in your family, and honestly, try it out. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me again this week. I want to thank Omicron Plastics for their continued support. And if you're interested in getting yourself some of this ABS, I'll put a link to them down below. Please, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell so that you get notifications of future episodes of the show. And I hope that you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.